You need to start the thing, the project, the email, the workout, whatever it is. You know you need to do it. You open your laptop, you sit down, and then your hand reaches for your phone. Just a quick check, just 5 minutes. 2 hours later, you've scrolled through everything twice, learned nothing, retained nothing, and the thing you needed to start, still not started. But somehow, scrolling felt easier, safer, less threatening. Today, you're learning why your brain treats starting like a threat and scrolling like a shelter. Scrolling isn't productive. You know this. But it's also not demanding. It asks nothing of you. No decisions, no effort, no risk of failure. You just exist. Your thumb moves, content appears, your brain gets tiny hits of novelty without any of the cost. It's the mental equivalent of junk food. Empty calories, but it fills the space. Starting something means committing, choosing a direction, accepting that you might do it wrong. Scrolling has no consequences. You can't fail at scrolling. You can't do it wrong. There's no performance evaluation for watching random videos. Your brain knows this, and when it's trying to avoid stress, scrolling is the perfect hiding place. Starting means making the first decision, and that first decision feels massive. What if you start wrong? What if you pick the wrong approach? What if you waste time going in the wrong direction? So your brain freezes. It's not that you don't want to start, it's that starting requires certainty you don't have, and your brain hates uncertainty. Scrolling eliminates decisions. The algorithm decides for you. Next video, next post, next image. You're just receiving, passive. No choices to make, no wrong moves. It's mentally effortless. And when you're already overwhelmed by the decision of how to start, effortless wins every time. Sometimes you're not scrolling to avoid work, you're scrolling to prepare. You tell yourself you're researching, getting ideas, seeing what others have done. Just a little more information and then you'll be ready to start. But ready never comes because you're not actually preparing, you're postponing. Drop a comment if you've ever spent an hour researching something you could have just started. Your brain tricks you into thinking consumption is preparation, but watching someone else do the thing isn't the same as doing the thing. You're not getting ready, you're getting comfortable with the idea of staying where you are. You tell yourself you're too tired to start. You need to recharge first. Scrolling feels like rest, but it's not. It's stimulation without satisfaction. Your brain is still processing, still consuming, still reacting. You're not resting, you're distracting. And when you finally put the phone down, you're more drained than before. Real rest is boring. Sitting quietly, staring at nothing, letting your mind wander without input. That's what actually recharges you. But boring feels uncomfortable, so you fill the space with scrolling and then wonder why you never feel ready to start. Starting is scary because it makes the task real. Right now, it's just an idea, abstract, manageable. But the moment you start, it becomes concrete. You have to confront how hard it actually is, how long it'll take, how much you don't know. Starting reveals all the things you were avoiding thinking about. Scrolling, it keeps everything abstract. You don't have to face reality. You can stay in the comfortable space of, I could do it if I wanted to. But actually starting means testing that belief. And what if you test it and you're wrong? What if it's harder than you thought? What if you're not as capable as you believed? Better to scroll and preserve the possibility. When you scroll, you see everyone else's finished work, their success, their progress, and you compare their highlight reel to your blank page. You haven't even started and you're already behind, already losing. So why bother starting at all? If everyone else is already ahead, what's the point? Comment if social media has ever made you feel less motivated to start your own work. Because it's not just you. You're comparing their finished product to your non-existent beginning. That's not a fair comparison. But your brain doesn't care about fair. It just sees the gap and decides it's too big to cross. So you keep scrolling instead of starting. You're waiting for permission to start, for the right mood, the right energy, the right inspiration, the right time. But none of that is coming. Permission doesn't arrive. You have to give it to yourself. And that feels presumptuous. Who are you to just start? What if you're not ready? What if it's not perfect? Scrolling gives you permission to do nothing. The algorithm says, here's another thing to look at, and you have permission to look. It's externally validated. But starting requires internal validation. You have to decide you're allowed to begin. And if you've spent years waiting for external permission, that's a terrifying shift. You think once you start, it'll get easier. Momentum will build. You'll hit flow state. But your brain knows that's not guaranteed. Sometimes starting leads to more struggle, more frustration, more evidence that you can't do it. Scrolling guarantees ease. Starting guarantees nothing. So your brain picks the guarantee. This is why you can scroll for hours but can't work for 5 minutes. Scrolling has predictable rewards. Every swipe brings something new. But starting? You might work for an hour and have nothing to show. You might struggle the whole time. Your brain doesn't want unpredictable effort. It wants reliable comfort, even if that comfort is empty. When you scroll, you're nobody, just an observer. No expectations, no judgment. But when you start creating, you become someone who creates. And that identity is vulnerable. What if you create and it's bad? What if people judge you? What if you judge yourself? Better to stay nobody than risk being someone who fails. Comment below if fear of judgment has kept you from starting something you wanted to do, because the moment you put work into the world, you're exposed. Scrolling lets you hide. You're consuming other people's vulnerability instead of showing your own. That's safer, but it's also suffocating. Starting requires you to delay gratification. Work now, reward later. Maybe. But scrolling? Instant gratification. Every swipe, every new post, every video gives you a tiny hit of dopamine. Your brain is addicted to instant, and you're asking it to work for delayed. That's like asking an addict to quit cold turkey while someone waves the drug in front of them. You're not weak for choosing scrolling, you're human. Your brain is wired to prefer immediate rewards over distant ones. The question isn't why you scroll, it's why anyone manages to start. And the answer is, they find ways to make starting feel immediate. They manufacture urgency. They create accountability. They trick their brain into thinking the reward is closer than it is. Eventually, scrolling stops feeling safe. It starts feeling hollow. You realize you've spent hours consuming nothing and creating nothing. You feel worse than before. But even then, starting feels impossible because now you have to start and overcome the guilt of all the time you wasted. The bar is even higher. This is the trap. Scrolling feels safer than starting until it doesn't, and then you're stuck in the space where both options feel bad. Scrolling makes you feel empty, starting makes you feel anxious, so you toggle between the two, never committing to either, slowly drowning in the middle. Scrolling feels safer than starting because it is safer. It asks nothing of you, risks nothing, exposes nothing. But safety isn't the same as satisfaction. You can scroll forever and never feel fulfilled. Starting is terrifying because it matters, because you might fail, because you might succeed and have to keep going. The question isn't whether scrolling feels safer, it's whether safety is worth the cost of never beginning. Subscribe if you want more psychology that explains why you avoid the things you actually want to do. We're not here to shame you. We're here to help you understand the real battle, the cognitive blueprints.